It's Monday, August 2nd, and we have a rotten tomato in our midst. We have Danny Sterling with Elia, and Dinner and Blanc is back. Welcome to Eat It, Virginia.
Hello and welcome to Eat It, Virginia, voted Richmond's second favorite podcast. My name is Scott Wise, and I'm joined, as always, by my friend, Roby Martin.
First favorite food podcast hosted by Scott and Roby.
That's right.
There it is.
The number one food podcast hosted by Scott and Roby. Speaking of food, Roby, hot tomato summer. While summer continues, hot tomato summer is sort of now over. I ate
just the event. Hot tomato summer is not over. Just the event is over.
I ate more tomatoes that 1 week than I think I have my entire life. And that's not even an exaggeration. That is the God's honest truth.
So I think I lost.
How is this even possible? I don't understand how this is possible. Every night you're going out, you're having fun, you're meeting friends, you're canoodling. Is that even a word? Canoodling?
Canoodling is not a word, and it does not happen every night, as you're aware, as I have a family and I like to be home with my family. But
how did I go out and eat more tomatoes more than you did? How's that even possible?
Well, because let me tell you why it's possible. So when I go out to eat, I don't order every single dish. And I did not do that because, well, that is just what I don't do. And you did. So you front loaded with all the dishes, which I did not. I just ordered one
dish per restaurant, and I was ordering 3 per restaurant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's why I lost.
Strategery. I had some strategery going on.
There looks like we have trophies and a giveaway, which I'm going to do at some point in time on the Eat It Virginia Instagram. So if you don't follow us over at Eat It Virginia, you should, because we have some Duke's merch that I'm thinking we're going to give away, Duke's mayonnaise merchandise, maybe a hat or two. I see you holding your Hot Tomato Champion 2021 trophy. The fact that it is red and gold is amazing. We have Danny Sterling today from Elia Foods.
Elia rhymes with hell yeah.
You've been wanting to do that the entire time. And his story, so, I mean, I knew he was super talented and had been in Chicago and had done a bunch of Michelin star stuff, but I did not know about his cancer diagnosis and how it led into the vending machine healthy lifestyle. So, healthy eating in a vending machine. Not something you hear together often. I don't know about you, but I always think about it like, oh gosh, this is going to date me. But, a pack of nabs and a Snapple? Isn't that what you get from your vending machine? Well, we have Danny Sterling with us today from Elia. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Elia Food.
You nailed it.
Yay. Hi, Danny.
Hey, Roby.
That was my first question. How do you pronounce this thing? It's like capital E, capital Y, capital L, capital A. I mean,
yeah. We wanted it to sound like hell yeah because we want people to get excited about a vending machine.
Is it an acronym?
Yeah, it is. It's an acronym for Eat Like Your Ancestors, which is also kind of ironic because we're in a vending machine.
Oh, it's perfect. Wrap it all around. It's like
yeah.
It's full circle, except now it's convenient, right?
Right.
So how does one get stuck? I mean, I know like there's a cupcake vending machine, but that isn't healthy. And then I once saw a champagne vending machine, which your thoughts on whether that healthy is never going to sway the fact that I'm always going to want champagne from a vending machine. Yeah. But tell me about how you got where you are.
Yes. Man, where to start? So to your point, cupcakes can totally be healthy.
I like this guy, Roby. I like this guy.
Champagne in respectful quantities can be healthy. So it's just to set the stage a little bit. I've been a chef for 15 years and I always knew I wanted to be a chef. Whenever I was 12 years old, I was one of the Food Network kids. I watched the Food Network, thought that's what chef life was about. And had a rude awakening whenever I turned 14 and started working at McDonald's. That was my first job. And
no
I
shame
knew
in that.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great experience. Whenever I was old enough to drive to a restaurant, I'm from a small town called Hagerstown, Maryland. Whenever I was old enough to drive to a restaurant, I got a job in a restaurant. So right after I turned 16, and I realized quickly that the food industry was not what they show on Food Network. It was a lot harder. I was the youngest guy in the kitchen. It was an all-male kitchen, and they weren't nice. And I thought, okay, I still got time. Like, I can pivot. I can do other things. I'm 16 years old. I don't have to be a chef for the rest of my life, but I can't quit because these guys will think that I'm like a wimp, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to like make my money, and I'm going to go to a normal college. I'm going to get a normal degree. But I ended up falling in love with it. Anybody that's worked in the restaurant or hospitality industry knows that sometimes there's a little bit of hardship in the beginning, but then there's a lot of camaraderie towards the end. So I ended up loving that restaurant, the team that I worked with in Hagerstown. Went on to, be a chef, and I went to culinary school, and I soon learned, and I don't think that this is true by any stretch of the imagination, but that you can either be a fine dining chef or you can be a corporate chef. And there's kind of two different routes you can take. And in my mind, I was reading Marco Pierre White's White Heat whenever I was 14 years old. So I was like, I want to do fine dining. I want to do Michelin star. I want to go in that direction. I went to the Greenbrier in West Virginia and did a 3-year apprenticeship. And during that time, the chef there, Rich Rosendale, was doing Bocuse d'Or, which is an international cooking competition in France. And the coaches were Danielle Ballou, Thomas Keller, Grant Ackett. So anytime you could be getting ready for setting up for service and Thomas Keller comes on your station, or Danielle Ballou walks by, and, I was 19 years old. So I was, of course, starstruck. That segued into Michelin star cooking. I worked in a Michelin star restaurant in Chicago for a little while. Soon realized whenever I got into the Michelin star world after being in culinary for 7 years that, or in the hospitality industry for 7 years cooking professionally, that Michelin star life was not for me. I wanted to do something that was maybe a little bit more accessible. I had been doing fine dining my whole life, and I realized it was for a very small group of people. I was kind of starting to get into health and nutrition, but I wasn't really full in yet. My wife was taking a nutritional therapy course and kind of working on her NTA certification. And I had a pending job offer in Northern Virginia for a consulting gig with a startup company called Rosenale Collective, which was actually founded by the chef at the Greenbrier that did Bocuse d'Or, Rich Rosendale. So I went and worked for him. And during that time, we started a restaurant together. We launched his startup company for consulting. And in 2016, while all this was happening, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. So that kind of hit me, kind of out of left field. It was the fittest I had ever been. I was really into CrossFit. I was working out all the time. I thought I was doing the nutritional stuff correctly. My mother-in-law at the time was also battling ovarian cancer. So my wife and I both just kind of dove into nutrition because it was really at that point the only thing I could control. I want
to pause you right there,
yeah,
because you've given us a lot of information.
Yeah, I'm rattling. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of.
I want to make sure that we follow up on some of these things before we forget.
Yeah.
So let's just start at the end of the story you just told with the testicular cancer diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that you had been the fittest that you had been in your whole life, and it took you by surprise. Obviously, when you get diagnosed with something like that, many people will kind of just become consumed with like, how did I get this? Like, what are my next steps? How do I survive? Like, how do I do this? Does nutrition play a role in getting testicular cancer? Is that one of the factors that you found could have led to your diagnosis?
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott. I'm glad you asked that, because at the time I thought so. I thought that's the only thing that can, cause this disease. Is purely a metabolic disease. That was 5 years ago, last Thursday. I've since obviously changed my outlook. Mind you, I was a chef. I'm not a healthcare professional by any stretch of the imagination. But the way that I look at it now and the way that I looked at it back then was, it doesn't hurt.
Sure.
It doesn't hurt to look at holistic health and see how food can play a role in that. And it's changed my life dramatically. I mean, I feel better. I've noticed that there's been there's been a lot of benefit that's come from really focusing on what I'm putting in my body. And that is really, I think, the impetus for starting ea. But it all kind of stemmed from that diagnosis in 2016. Also, my wife was telling me I needed to eat better. I was working out all the time, but I was not, following her guidelines. And whenever I got diagnosed, I was like throwing in the towel. I was like, what do I got to do? Like, just tell me what I got to do. I want to make sure that I can fix this.
So how does one start like you get this diagnosis, it obviously like is whoa, this is big eye opener. How does one say, okay, I need to change tomorrow? I can't just like, now, like wait a few weeks. I need to change tomorrow my outlook on what I'm putting in my body. Is there like a I don't know, a waiting period that like your body has to go through to make like, I mean, I know there is, but like, what do you do? Say, okay, it's all weeds from now on, lettuces and celeries and everything green and all the colors, but no red meats, or what do you do?
Yeah. So to answer the first piece of that question, it was not a gradual shift. I think because of the diagnosis.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It was like, the doctor tells you, it was the very first time I ever heard the word malignant. And I was like, what does that mean? Like I said before, never had any desire to be in nutrition or health. Yeah, that was what shifted. That was the shift, was like, okay, well, this is something I control. I'm going to listen to my wife because she seems to know what she's talking about. They had already been dealing with this with her mom. So they were already looking at ways to, and not only, it's hard to debate that. Again, like I said before, the disease is purely metabolic. I don't feel equipped to do so. But it's hard to, I guess, say that like that's what we were trying to do. In my mind, I thought, I got a lot of surgeries coming up. I want to try and eat food that's going to help me prepare for those surgeries and come back quicker and faster so I can get this restaurant open, so I can get back to hiring, so I can get back to standard operating procedures. The second piece was, the reason why we say eat like your ancestors is because we looked at things from a very ancestral perspective. So it's really not no red meat, because, from my research, my understanding is that we were eating bison thousands of years ago. We've been eating red meat for a long period of time. It was more about the processed ingredients. So at Elea, we don't use any processed oils like vegetable oils or canola oil or anything like that might go through some sort of chemical exchange so that the oil is extracted or bleached. We kind of look at things as, if we're going to use dairy, we're going to use grass-fed, grass-finished dairy. If we're going to use red meat, we're going to use grass-fed, grass-finished red meat. And then, kind of digging into the nutritional piece, brought in a whole another layer of environmental initiatives. So, and we can kind of dig into that a little bit later, but I don't want to keep on going on. But to answer your question, we really just focused on the sourcing and where the food's coming from, and then also to how it's processed.
Sure. And when do you feel like, when you started to focus on that you thought maybe your body was starting to react to all of that? Does that question make sense? Mm-hmm. Like when you all started focusing on what your wife was telling you,
yeah.
When do you think that you saw a change just based on what you're putting into your body?
Yeah. So it wasn't too much of a shift. So it's tough because I was going through a lot of surgeries. And
Sure.
like
right.
Yeah. But I did get a little taste in about 3 months before I was diagnosed. My wife asked me to do the Whole30 challenge. So that was another way to get me to eat better. Was Whole30 and challenging.
Your wife sounds like a dream, let me tell you.
That Whole30 challenge is no joke.
Ooh. She's amazing. She's my rock, and she's amazing. She just wanted what was best for me. So yeah, I was hesitant. I will say, I think since 2016, she's been right every time. I've never not listened to her. So now I'm just like,
did you hear that? Did you hear that, wife? What is your wife's name?
Julia.
Julia. Yeah. He's going to repeat it. What did you say, Danny? She was what?
She's been right. She was right ever since. Yeah.
I'm going to edit that part out for your sake, Danny.
Thanks, God. Yeah, no. So the Whole30 diet, I recognized, again, too, that's like a reset diet. It's a diet. It's not a lifestyle shift. But it was for a whole month. And I was like, whoa, I only got 5 hours of sleep last night, but I feel really good today. And I just kind of started noticing through the Whole30 diet. And I was like, maybe there's something to this. I'll pick it back up later. I'll revisit this some other time whenever I have to. Well, that some other time was, a few months later.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what that call is like from the doctor, or I assume you felt something, right? You felt something and you went in to get it checked out.
Yeah. I thought it was a hernia. I thought that it was something totally different. I didn't have health insurance. I didn't have a primary care physician. I went to like a Minute Clinic. They thought it was a million different things. So I'm thinking like, what's happening? What's going to happen? And they said, we think this is testicular cancer. And also too, a lot of times, and if anybody that's listening is in the healthcare profession, we hear the C word and you automatically think like, I gotta do something tomorrow. And they're like, get an appointment for next week sometime, they'll come and see you. And I was like, wait, no, this needs to happen like tomorrow. So I was able to get into an oncologist about a week later. So I'm literally like not sleeping for a week. We were also too like in the depths of getting this restaurant open. We were at a trade show doing a consulting program in Chicago, and I'm like the whole time just like trying to figure out how to get insurance, trying to figure out all this stuff. And yeah, we the call's challenging. I think that whenever they told me like there's a 90% chance that this is cancer, we need to do a surgery tomorrow. I first was like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And then I was just kind of like, all right, what do we got to do? Let's just get it done. And that was pretty much the path forward. I had a surgery in June of 2016, a minor surgery. And then they had thought that the cancer had spread to my lymphatic system in my abdominal cavity. So I had to have all of those lymph nodes removed. So it left me scarred from the bottom of my sternum to the top of my pelvis. So a pretty big incision, pretty big, long recovery. Also in the midst of, again, running a startup and getting a restaurant going. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to hear. I knew the whole time that I was lucky because I didn't have to go through chemotherapy. I didn't have to go through radiation. And also too, I mean, it was a pretty curable cancer. I felt really blessed. We unfortunately lost my mother-in-law that December, which was a lot harder. She had a much more aggressive form of ovarian cancer, and it's tougher. So it's tough to talk about because there's a lot of people out there that have it way worse. And I was young, I was healthy, I was able to come back from it. And unfortunately, some people aren't as lucky.
I was reading an article about your story, and it mentioned that when you were in the hospital, I assume recovering from one of these surgeries, is when kind of the light bulb went off. Yeah. And that was like I said, that was in 2016. So it was kind of like an aha moment. I didn't even have Ellie yet. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know it was going to be food service management. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just thought I hadn't eaten for 6.5 days. I wasn't allowed to eat because I had that massive abdominal surgery. So the first thing I really wanted vegetables because like I literally had nothing in my body. And at this point I had been eating a ton of vegetables, a good amount of lean meat, grass-fed, grass-finished stuff. And I was like, I just got to get some sort of nutrients in my body because I'm literally living off of an IV right now. And I got the sea bass with like roasted vegetables, and I'm at Sloan Kettering, and I'm like, this has to be good, right? I mean, this hospital stay is not going to be cheap for my insurance company. And just to let you all know, the Sloan Kettering sea bass is not good. No offense to the folks up there. They might have just been having a bad service, but it wasn't the best. The burger wasn't awesome either because my wife was like, why would you pick the sea bass at a hospital? You get something like the burger. You haven't eaten for 6 days. Don't pick sea bass. So yeah, the burger wasn't great either. And that's when I thought, there's so much money that gets put into food service management and the hospital system. I was like, man, if we could just develop a program that we can get better food into schools, into hospitals, let's get it going that way. And that's when I thought, how do you start a food service management company? This is again back in 2016. So how do you start a food service management company and take that same amount of detail and drive and passion from a Michelin starred perspective and add it to just the day-to-day 9 to 5 eating? And what's the answer?
I'll let you know when I find out. Yeah, I think, just to kind of touch on another whole piece of this, and I think that with my experience, and this is just purely my experience, the hospitality industry right now is obviously has a lot of attention on it. We've heard a lot about staffing shortages and challenges with staffing. And I heard a statistic the other day that something like 80% of hospitality employees that were polled don't anticipate coming back to the hospitality industry after all this is over. And the reality is that the way that I look at it is like, we've got to create an environment where people are happy and people are generating meaningful work. whenever I was doing Michelin starred cooking, which I still love, I still read the Noma cookbook quite a bit. I was always a big Noma guy. I'm still a big fan of Grant Achatz and Thomas Keller and all those folks, and the Bocuse d'Or, group. I've worked with them in the past and hope to work with them again in the future. But I was cooking every day from 9 a.m. till 1 a.m. for 18 people. And the ingredients weren't really anything crazy. We weren't supporting a local food system. We were getting stuff from like the equivalent of a corner store that just wasn't good quality stuff and charging an obscene amount of money for it. And everyone around me looked emotionally depleted. And I thought, well, nobody's having fun. Nobody really enjoys this. I thought that I was going to get here and I was going to be around a group of individuals that were passionate and loved what they were doing. And everybody was just incredibly unhappy. So whenever we opened Roots in Northern Virginia, which is the restaurant I was a partner in, that was one thing we brought to the table was let's create an environment where people are happy to work. And let's keep going in that direction. So I think that's a piece of it. I think a piece of it is letting folks know that come to work with us that you're a part of something much bigger than just, a big tab at the end of the night. You're a part of something much bigger than, accolades and awards and things like that. So we're trying to really shift a food system and shift the way that we eat, 9 to 5.
So when you hear the word healthy, a lot of people think, ugh, this is going to be boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that just happens to be what they connect in your head. I've read a little bit. I've not had any of your food. So no, shame on me.
No,
but I've read a little bit
okay.
and you have like 1 billion influences. I mean, 1 billion, I mean like 4, but like you're doing like Korean, European, like all sorts of great stuff. So is that your intent, is to make what is coming out not only great for your body, but interesting too?
Yes. Roby did. Yeah. The biggest mission, the biggest part of this mission is to make the food accessible. And the way that I kind of look at accessibility is from a flavor standpoint. So we've got a chicken bacon ranch on the menu, which is like as classic as it gets. I'd say that that's probably our biggest seller, and 90% of people I know like it, and I know some pretty picky eaters. The second piece is convenience. Whenever people if you do a Whole30 challenge, it is almost impossible to find somewhere to eat. And the last piece is cost. So those first 2 pieces, I feel like we've got figured out. We have these refrigerators that anybody can go to. Actually, Roby, the fact that you haven't had any of our food yet makes me feel like we failed because we haven't made it that convenient yet.
Oh no,
radically convenient. It's kind of
it is not on you. That failure is not on you. I promise.
We'll go to the extent of just bringing it to your house.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
DM me your address. Yeah, no,
don't do that.
You can't get past the guards in the moat. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
we'll drop it outside of your office. There we go. We'll leave it with someone at the front desk.
That'll work.
Her assistant we'll pick it up for you.
Perfect.
I really do like the idea. I don't know why I've been such a pain in the ass and not gone by to get one, but
I take zero offense to that. I am completely aware. I was listening to a couple of the podcasts recently, and I was like, I've seen lily pad probably 100 times, like just pop up on my Instagram, friends tell me about it. And I'm like, I'm going to get out there one of these days. Or like so many restaurants pre-pandemic, like Dutch & Co. was like top of my list for so long. Adara, which is still open, still on top of my list. And it's like, Friday night comes around and we still just go to Anthony's on the Hill.
Because it's good. That's a good place to go.
I will lay in traffic for Anthony's on the Hill. I am the biggest Anthony's fan. Like,
it's good.
He's so nice. I don't even know if his name's Anthony. We don't know each other.
We
follow each other on Instagram. I love them. I write big reviews on Google about Anthony's. Them and Blanchard's. Those are my 2 companies that I'm just I'm in love with. The Blanchard's team hosted us at Scott's Edition whenever we were just getting started, and they had no reason to do that for us, and it was so amazing. They're great people. Dave Blanchard's an awesome guy. Drew Dayberry, love those guys. Mm-hmm. Seriously, just unbelievable, because we can't do this without community partnerships, and those guys are great. So
Absolutely. Steven's good. The whole group of them are great guys over there.
Steven trained my team in Northern Virginia on espresso back in 2016. And that's when I became a Blanchard's fan. We were living in Florida for a little bit. I would get Blanchard shipped to my house in Florida.
I don't blame you. It's great stuff.
I drink it every morning.
There you go.
Same.
Yep.
I'm a darkest dark girl. I just really like it.
Yeah. What about you, Scott?
The Blanchard's Blend is my morning coffee.
Yeah.
But the darkest dark is my Gelati Celesti flavor. So
Ooh. So you come in all the bases.
And at night. Yes, exactly.
I'm a handshake blend guy. Yeah, big fan.
I like the handshake. I like the Black Dog. I mean, I got a lot of Blanchards here, but the darkest dark is my favorite.
Good.
Low acid when I'm running. They have one of those, which is awesome. Yeah, they got it all.
There you go. In all seriousness, I mean, that's what we want to do. We want to go above and beyond to try and get the food to people. And the last piece of affordability is just going to have to come with scale. As we continue to grow, we can order higher quantities of produce and higher quantities of meat. We'll be able to reduce our prices, and that's what I hope to do in the future.
What are the prices, Danny?
So the prices are anywhere between $4 to $15. Some of our smaller snacks are $4. Some of our entree size portions are $15. With that being said, our food cost is anywhere from 33 to 44%. It's high. It's a low margin. But I do believe that in the future we'll be able to shrink that a little bit more and give people a really accessible price per dish.
So where are you making this food?
Yeah, right behind me, in the old Plant Zero Cafe on 7 East 3rd Street in Manchester. I live in Woodland Heights. My wife used to teach at Oak Grove Bellmead Elementary School. She's taking a little leave of absence because we're expecting a newborn in October.
Aww. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. It's our first, so we're super excited about that. But we love Manchester, obsessed with Manchester. I love everything about Manchester. I love the industrial vibe. I hope to stay here as long as we can. As you all know, we might get priced out pretty quick.
Crazy.
Yeah. So if you have a spot in Manchester and you want us to be there, let me know.
So you're making it in Manchester at the old Plant Zero, but where are your refrigerators?
Where are the refrigerators right now? We've got one here at 7 East 3rd Street, and that was our first one. We decided it'd be a good idea to launch one here where it's right beside of us. We can see how it works. We can make sure everything flows well. We can see what people like. We can talk to guests. Connection's really important to us. With an autonomous vending machine, obviously it's hard to do that. The second one went into the Locks apartment complex. Fortunately, my landlord owns the Locks, so it was an easy segue. And he loves our concept, and now he wants them in all of his buildings. But that one's doing great. Great community over there at the Locks. And the third one is at Alton Lane headquarters. However, it's outside and it's in Scott's Addition. And Alton Lane has been, amazing to work with. They're a great company as well. And they were just put it right outside. Anybody can use it. So it's underneath of a big carport there, beside a Circuit Barcade and across from Strange Ways Brewing. So that's the one that a lot of people go to. Hull Street's tough to park on. Manchester still waiting to get its, I guess its foundation. More people are moving in here. But yeah, those are where they're at right now. We've got 3 more, literally directly behind me. And we just want to take the time over the last couple of months to get staffed up, train everybody, start working on some better menu items, rotating items, get all the standard operating procedures in place. And we're going to deploy them all between now and September.
Do you know where they're going to go? Is this news that we should have?
We don't yet. No. Obviously, we've been pushing hard for hospitals. We're really pushing hard for VCU. That's number one on my list. We've had one meeting with them. I'm going to continue to just keep on trying with that. And then, I think other than that, we might try and look into some communities where they can be outside that anybody can access them. But yeah, no set in stone plans yet. A lot of stuff still up in the air.
What are some of the more popular menu items that you have to restock in these fridges more often than the others?
Chicken bacon ranch is number one. That's the one that we make the most of every week.
So when I hear chicken bacon ranch, the word healthy is not the thing that pops into my head.
Me either.
First of all. So for me, healthy is that's going to help me lose weight. I know that's not the right way to think about healthy. I realize there's a disconnect in my brain.
No, it's okay.
But help me figure that out.
Well, Scott, I can't say that it will help make you lose weight, but there's a chance. I mean, there's a,
so you're saying he has a chance.
Again, I am not a nutritionist. I feel like I have to say, like, if there's any way you can put in the show notes, like a disclaimer that I am not a nutritionist. I'm not liable for any nutritional advice.
He only plays one on this podcast.
Okay. What I will say is that the chicken bacon ranch, I know it doesn't sound healthy, but so we use Joyce Farms chicken, a farm out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The reason I picked them is we've used a lot of local chickens, but we really like Joyce specifically for their genetics, and then also too for their practices. They, from my understanding, are a truly regenerative farm that's sequestering more carbon than they're emitting. We love that practice. I've been able to see some of the farming stuff from behind the scenes. So we use them for chicken, and then our bacon comes from Autumn Olive Farms, which everybody know and loves Autumn Olive. No nitrates, no sugar, just salt and celery. And we use those two things for the proteins. Now, what's interesting about this is we really try to utilize everything that we buy. So there's what we call our brassica chop. So it's any like broccoli stem, broccoli core, or cabbage core, kale stems, anything that comes from the brassica, we chop up and cook with garlic, a little bit of bacon fat, a little bit of onion, and we put that into the mix. Lettuce, just a regular organic mescaline mix, and then we make our ranch dressing in-house with good quality, free range grown eggs. And we use grapeseed oil instead of canola oil. We don't hide any sugar in there. So it's literally just eggs, grapeseed oil, some pickling liquid from our pickled cucumbers, and onion powder, garlic powder, all those things.
So it's perhaps a healthier version of a chicken bacon ranch.
Big time. Yeah, big time. And the way that we look at this too is that, like, I think that there's been foods that have been deemed bad when it comes to nutrition or healthy. And I don't think that food is bad. I think that there are, if losing weight is your goal, if living till you're 100 is your goal, there's different ways to work in that. And there's different diets that work for different people. Veganism works for a lot of people. I'm personally not vegan, but I know that it works. So we have vegan items. Paleo works for a lot of people. Paleo has worked for me in the past. I've been able to incorporate some other things. Whole30 works. So the goal was, we're going to find something that matches in all of those categories, and we're just going to really focus on the sourcing. So the chicken bacon ranch is keto and paleo. And I guess it would be considered Whole30 as well. So it fits into all those dietary guidelines. Whereas might be perceived as healthy, but it has legumes which wouldn't really be considered Whole30 or paleo or keto because of the carbohydrate content.
Right.
But again, to organic navy beans, organic olives, red wine vinaigrette, that kind of stuff. So again, the perception of health is in some ways subjective. Some people would say that it's a little bit more objective if you look at science and data. The way that we look at it is, let's just make sure it comes from a good quality source, and we're here to support you whatever your health journey is.
And about how long does a food stay quote unquote fresh in these fridges? Like, is there food that you have to throw out, get rid of, recycle, give to someone else? How does that work?
Yeah, 3 days max. So that's a tricky one too, is typically I eat it if it doesn't, or we use it for family meal. We put the date that it was prepped on the bottom of the bowl versus the best buy date. I always thought that was kind of subjective as well, because you don't really know when it was made. You just know when it's best buy. So we put on the bottom of the bowl, we put the dates, 3 days, 4 days max, depending on the bowl, depending on the dish. That has been the biggest challenge as far as this whole concept. Like I said before, I've been in a restaurant for 15 years. It's a little bit easier if you prep something on Monday to refresh it on Friday, and then you get one more day out of it, which totally happens. In a refrigerator, it's done. It sits there. And there's no refreshing. It's got 3 days. We're really fortunate that there's not a lot of leftover. There's certain weeks where a mushroom burger doesn't sell, and I'm eating mushroom burgers for the next week. We want to be able to donate stuff. We just don't have the amount of overflow yet. And if we're going to donate food, we want it to be the same quality that we're selling it for. I don't want to give people, leftover stuff. We have had some folks that come in and ask if we have anything left over, and we run it by them and tell them when it was made, and they're typically more than happy to accept it. But that's on rare occasions. So,
can I go to the fridge and get a whole meal? Like me and a couple friends, can we have a picnic? Is there like, and for me, a whole meal, I mean, I eat a lot, this you probably are aware. It's the entree, maybe a dessert and a drink. Can I do that?
Yeah, desserts are going to be in the menu very soon. We got a couple folks here working on it for us. We're also looking at some collaborations. We do have a really cool brand of consumer packaged goods called Honey Mamas. It's like a paleo chocolate. It's just cacao and honey. They've got one in there. We've got one in there that's a tangerine chocolate. So that could be definitely a dessert. I like it a lot, but we're looking for something a little bit more substantial that will hopefully fit in paleo and Whole30 guidelines for dessert, but not suck. The other piece of your question, yes, we have kombucha, we have coffee, we have CBD sparkling water, we have regular sparkling water, and then we have 6 like lunch dinner size entrees. So like we have the chicken bacon ranch, which is a salad, the mushroom burger, which is a salad, and then we have a salad that rotates every week. This week it's the Mediterranean, and then we have 3 bowls or plates. One that's rotating this week is the beef burrito, and honestly it might stay on forever because I'm like refilling it every day. The Broad Street Bully, which is a roasted pork shoulder bowl. It's more like a good old fashioned barbecue bowl. And then the Thai coconut curry, which is our vegan bowl. And then for breakfast items, we've got overnight oats.
Nice.
Yeah. Cinnamon raisin. They're a big hit, but we've got a lot of flavors that are going to be coming out. They're going to be rotating pretty often as well. We used to do in the winter time, we did a red eye oats with Blanchard's Handshake blend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah.
So how did you land on the vending machine concept? You were talking about bringing good food to hospital settings or to corporate settings. When did you say maybe we'll have to pause that for a moment and we're going to do in the neighborhood with these vending machines?
So that's a great question, Scott, because it's a big part of how we came to be. So whenever I decided, okay, well, food service management companies run hospitals. And like I said previously in our conversation, there was either fine dining or corporate. And what I was told in culinary school was corporate was Airmark, Sodexo, Compass. Like that was the direction you go in. So I did a lot of research on how do you start, one of those companies. It'd be almost like saying, how do I start Google tomorrow? I mean, these companies are massive. So I basically took the biggest end goal, which is Sodexo, Airmark, Compass, and just worked my way back with the resources that I had. And I was like, I could do pop-up cafeterias and businesses that don't have cafeterias, but have the finances or have the capital to do so. So we'll go to tech companies, we'll go to companies like Gather, co-working spaces, and we'll set up cafeterias. And we'll, focus on connection, focus on just being like a positive energy through the workspace during lunchtime. We'll bring these same values to the table. It's going to be great. We'll build your own bowls. We'll do all this stuff. And I built the concept, did the back end at Gather, and then the pandemic happened. So I feel like that's like probably the climax for any story in the last year, any new business that started in 2020. Was my vision was we'll get ready by April 1st. I'll have a space. I'll start doing some more, conceptual stuff on the menu, and we'll be ready to launch by May at the latest. But everything was just taking longer than I anticipated. And then came March 15th. Like I said, my wife was a school teacher. So there was a shutdown. I was like, all right, well, I got 2 weeks to kind of slow down and regather and make sure, I got my supply chain in order. I got everything else. And then I was like, in 2 weeks, we'll get back and hit the ground running. And that 2 weeks just kept on, moving on. And I was like, in June, I was like, I'm still going to do this. We're going to get it done. I know people are going to start going back to work soon. And my wife was like, you're going to have to do something else. That nobody's going to want to see their food out in the open in an office building anymore. Those days are long gone. And remember earlier I said she's always right. So I was just like, I'm not going to argue with you on this one. I'm just going to look for something else. And I had a meeting with Gather, and they were talking about honesty markets. And I thought it was a great concept. But I was like, I bet we could do something way cooler than an honesty market. So I just Googled vending machines. I found the ones that I have now. They're made in California. The shipping is terrible, but everything else is great. There's been a bunch of companies that have been selling there. So I've been flying up to Philadelphia and, driving around and picking them up. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened. I was like, well, this can at least get us to market, and post-pandemic world, maybe we can revisit that food service management idea. However, now it's like we have the opportunity to, with way lower impact, to just set up a 5x5 square foot space anywhere with a power outlet and some coverage, and provide the same service.
So neat. I really think the whole idea is just brilliant, especially from a healthy food standpoint. I always stand in front of a vending machine and think, do I really want to cheese it? I mean, I love a cheese it, but like I do, I'm like, is this a good idea? I don't really know.
What brought you to Richmond?
So my wife is from Charlottesville. She went to U of R. I'm from Hagerstown. I went to school in Baltimore. Somehow a bunch of our friends ended up here. Literally, I think that's like you grow up in Charlottesville, you move to Richmond. And then too, so that was like the main thing. We were city shopping for a little bit. I lived in Chicago for a little while. I love Chicago. It's just like way too expensive. We love Brooklyn, love New York City. Again, too, just way too expensive. Richmond was like all of those things. It was literally everything we wanted, minus a sports team, but go Squirrels. Minus a major league sports team. So yeah, that's why. And then the food scene was just like, for a smaller city. I mean, we were just like, what are all these places? Like, we saw Long Oven popping up, Little Nickel, Pearly's, like all these amazing spots, ZZQ. And we were like, okay, this is a good spot. We came and visited some friends right before we moved here, and we were like, I think this just might be it. Let's just go for it. And yeah. Now we're diehards.
I think that non-Major League Baseball team could use a vending machine healthy food spot. What do you think? Parney, can you hear us? He needs a vending machine at the Squirrels.
That's what I'm saying. Or kickers. The kickers, I'm gonna chase them down. No pun intended. I probably could never catch any of those guys, but
no, but they really would like a chicken bacon ranch.
There you go.
Join the club.
That's right.
No, well, we appreciate you being with us.
I know appreciate you. Yeah.
That you have lots of things going on. One more time for everybody who wants to maybe visit one of those. You are located in Manchester, outside of Alton. How do you pronounce that?
Alton.
The men's clothing place in Scott's Addition. And then off of Hull Street?
We're right off of Hull Street and 7 East 3rd Street. It's Hull and 3rd Street, 3121 West Lee Street, Alton Lane headquarters. And then unfortunately the one at the Locks is only for Locks residents for now, but hopefully we'll have a location close to there soon.
Awesome. You're listening to Eat It Virginia with Roby and Scott and Danny Sterling of Elia, which essentially rhymes with hell yeah.
So did Danny convince you to try one of his vending machines now?
I feel like anytime somebody says chicken bacon ranch, I think of Wendy's and a fast food, so I'm dying to try it.
I know, it's healthy chicken bacon ranch. It's the best kind of chicken bacon ranch.
Which is so good, I think. So I'm totally going to do that. So Dinner in Blanc is back, Scott.
Dinner in Blanc. I've never attended that event.
Usually you've got 1,200 plus guests. It's been at the Arthur Ashe, like right in front of Virginia Museum of History. It's been on Arthur Ashe. So all white clothing, all white tablecloths, all white chairs, everything. It's snacks. This year it's at the Common House.
Oh, very nice. Common House, where I had 3 tomato dishes during Hot Tomato Summer. I got to see our friends.
Yes, because you ordered all 3 of them.
Got to see our friend Chauncey Jenkins.
I did not see Chauncey, but I did see Michael Smith.
Chauncey is a busy man at the Common House. He had one of those like earpieces in. I feel like he was in the Secret Service running around.
Everybody is fully Secret Service up there. Do you know that Michael Smith is leaving the Common House?
Actually, I found out that night. Yes, Michael was not there when I was there, but I heard he was going on to a new endeavor.
He's going to sell organic natural selection wines, native selection wines, which I feel like we should native selections that are natural and organic wines. There it is. I got it that time. Thank you very much.
Huzzah!
I think he should come on our podcast and talk about wines.
That would be lovely, of course.
Now tell me about the mayonnaise ice cream, because I tried to go to the mayonnaise ice cream spot twice to get Rabia's ice cream, and both time I was foiled.
So like I mentioned, I ate a lot of tomatoes and I had many good dishes. Among them was Ruby Scoop's mayonnaise ice cream, which when you read those words, for me anyway, it didn't sound like something I would want to try. But as you mentioned, I'm ordering all these dishes. I have to try it. I should have put my faith and my trust in Rabia because she knocked it out of the park with the mayonnaise ice cream. It tasted like just a very creamy vanilla, and she put it between two pieces of pound cake with a tomato jam. And I'll have to be honest, I ran over there on a lunch break and I got the scoop of the tomato sorbet and I got the scoop of the mayonnaise ice cream, and I'm driving back to work trying to eat it in my car, and my shirt, oh my God, it was such a freaking mess. I felt like I was 8 years old, but it was such a great feeling to not only see Rabia and share a smile, see her face to face, but also to try that because I was very surprised, not because of what she does isn't always awesome, but just because mayonnaise ice cream, who would have thunk it? And she really did a great job with it.
So I'd like you to know that I saw her at Fuzzy Cactus when I was eating all that deliciousness. All of that fried green tomato biscuit was banging. And I would like you to know that I almost asked her about mayonnaise ice cream while she was sitting at the bar, but then I would have been that rat bastard that bothered her while she had some off time. So I was like, I'm just going to let the genius of ice cream have her drink and go home in peace.
That was a good call on your part. And it also helped me win the trophy. So
I don't know. I'm sure, you know what? She did give you a leg up because I didn't get anything from there, but I did have the best tomato sandwich I've had in a while from lunch and supper. So pretty solid.
Shouts to all these restaurants that did such a great job.
I have news.
I am deaf. What's your news?
Pops on Grace.
Yes.
It's going to stay open as Pops on Grace with a little bit of help from our first and our 50th podcast guests, Kim and Mike Lindsay.
That is so exciting. I read the articles that have been published, and has Kim slipped any insider information your way?
Just that they're going to keep a lot of the people that are involved originally. They don't plan on changing much at all. They're just going to be around being great people. And we can get those good English muffins. I would like to talk about have you seen your mandate since you had Chicken Hearts?
I have not. No, Bobo's a very busy man. He's running one of the best restaurants in town. He can't just drop everything on a whim and take me out for dinner. It's a once in a while. I'm playing it slowly, I think is what I'm trying to say. Hard to get. He's calling me. He's DMing me.
He's offering you beers.
Blowing up. Yeah, it's just, Bobo, back off, man. Back off.
Well, can you back so far off that you're going to come on the podcast? Because that's what I would like to have happen.
There are many chefs that are, that want to take me out for dinner, Bobo. So just, take a breath.
I can't even keep a straight face.
You just invited Bobo on? After I'm telling him I need my space, you're inviting him on the podcast?
He can do it by Zoom.
This episode of Eat It Virginia? Really? This episode of Eat It Virginia. No! Oh God, no.